So basically generally how we follow is basically first week, we basically spend time with the application on the Excel. They have to basically give us the appropriate mapping. Otherwise, it will be a big mess up if you configure a wrong mapping right. We have to do that in the Excel. Then we have to validate that everything is fine. Then we start adding those mapping here in form of roles. Generally, we don't create it. It's like an initial activity. So like for example in Jaguar case, what happened? They will give us some entitlement and they will ask us to create new roles here. They will give the assignment criteria. Okay, if the user belongs to this department or this location, then this role needs to be assigned. Basically these activities only perform the bulk activity. That is only happening on the starting level. Then they will keep adding or removing a few roles. But from the bulk level, the Excel thing, they will only do in the starting level. And also for this bulk one, there's one more thing they do. That is not part of basically a SailPoint. But using some different tools they also generate this Excel sheet. How they do that? I am not aware of that. But I saw that they provide Excel sheet in a proper like. It is generated from some tool. I'll try to find out. If that is possible, I can share, but I don't think so. I do have that. If something goes wrong, right, it will assign wrong access to the user. So that's why, when they want to use, like any customer want to use a role management, basically, they need to be very clear about the role mapping. That is the first thing. Second thing is basically, once they configure here SailPoint, will directly assign the access. Now the main advantage, instead of using manager access, directly requesting the entitlement or directly assigning the entitlement. The main advantage is here, when you have different entitlement that you want to frequently assign or remove to the user based on their department location or their designation, their job title, etc. In that case, this is a widely used feature, because in that case we are doing 100% automation, if you see right. Once you define the role, you will schedule the refresh task. It will keep assigning this role to those users who are fulfilling this criteria right. But in case of manager access, you have to go here manually and you have to request for it. So basically, the main purpose of role is give a platform where they can see all the hierarchy and every entitlement. Information here, basically structured data. And which can be automatically assigned and removed. If user is fulfilling this criteria, SailPoint will assign this role. But let's say, existing user who was previously following this criteria, but now it's not following this criteria, SailPoint also removes that role using the same task. So basically, when we run this task, refresh anti-queue. SailPoint checks both things. Any user who is fulfilling this business role criteria assign this. Any user, existing user who already has this role, or now that user is not following this criteria, remove that. So, basically, both assignment and removing of the role happen with these two options. So the only major issue is basically, they should be very clear about that. Okay, in this role, we have to map 5 entitlements. They have to be very sure about those 5 entitlements that they want to assign to the user. So the main thing is here, whenever customer want to use role management, the main thing that is basically they have to do a lot of analysis on their end, with their access and with different application owners. Basically because every time, as a developer, you have to just configure your business role and IT role. But you cannot perform analysis on behalf of them. Like you are a SailPoint developer. You cannot perform analysis because you don't know how many systems they are using. What will be the impact of the access? And which access we need to provide to a new user, which access we need to provide to the admin user, which access we need to provide to the normal user. Access is again divided into different categories. They have different business logic on which they assign access to the user. So we need a complete data in Excel. We will only just configure it here. We will not be involved in activity where they are reaching out to different application owners, business owners, and they are asking for the data. They have to perform this analysis by their own end. Our job is to explain to them how this model works and how we will configure it. So they can prepare the data and provide it to us. One other thing that people also do here in case of role, when they initially set up these roles, for example, they provide you Excel. So again, it's a big manual effort. So instead of manually creating roles here, they write the Java, basically Java utility, through which, using the Excel, they will create the roles here from the backend, basically. Basically in the security. We cannot rely on the manual process. At the same time, automation processes also depend on the data, which is again somewhere entered manually. And every organization faces a lot of issues with corrupted data. Data is not correct in the system. Like they have one system that has correct data, but the other system doesn't have the correct data. So it is a very common problem. Again, same issue here. If they provide you wrong data here. When you want to configure roles, business role, IT roles, let's say, for example, roles for 50,000 users and you have 100 plus applications, by any chance. Let's say for example, if you configure a wrong configuration here, it will mess up. It will create a lot of issues, because it works very quickly and there is no manual intervention required. But same time, if you have configured a proper mapping here, it is a very useful thing, because there is no manual intervention required. Everything is automated. And same time, let's say, user is inactive. So same time, SailPoint will remove the roles. User is active, SailPoint will add the roles. So everything, basically this action, manage user access. That we go to entitlement category, press for entitlement account. That is happening here directly, without any manual intervention. So again, the main point is basically, you should have the correct mapping. In case you miss this mapping. You misconfigured this mapping. Definitely, it will give you negative result. If you see here, manage user access, let's say you want to add something to Aaron Nicholas. You simply add. You search here. So by default this add access is selected here. So you have to select this remove access. Now it will show those entitlements, which is assigned to Aaron Nicholas. You can select those and you can submit the request. So request will go as a remove access. This will not be removed automatically unless you write the Java for that. Through the certification, you can remove. Access review is there. Yeah, access review is there. But let's say, for example, normal user move from one department to another. So this role will not, this entitlement will not be removed automatically by SailPoint. There is no such process defined. But in case of role, we have that process. So, based on the complexity, generally, they schedule the certification campaign. Generally they follow like year frequency. But sometimes they also do this quarterly, based on the application, sensitivity of the data, and access. Like previously. Maybe they have some issues right in the past with access. Now they resolve, so they might want to, just review it again, just for safety reasons. So they want to review it again. So what they do is actually simple. Thing is, in the access review, your access will be reviewed by someone. It could be a manager, it could be an application owner, it could be some specific person. They will review your access. Okay, access is assigned to you. Is that right? Access assigned to you, or you have some additional access? You have some additional access, which is not required to perform your business task. They will simply mark that as remove and they will submit it, so the sale fund will immediately remove those access from your profile, basically. That is basically simple, your access review process. So basically, like, for example, let's say, I give you 5 roles, 5 business roles. I said that, okay, this business role is for this purpose. Let's say for IT, trainee IT, then software engineer, senior software engineer, technical lead manager, senior manager, associate director, director, like that hierarchy. And then I also give you a number of entitlement, like a list of entitlement which we want to assign to different level. So you can simply create those role here, right? You using that Excel sheet. Same thing basically like, and the data is basically provided by me to like. I'll provide you the data in Excel form. So when you have a large data in Excel, instead of doing that manual process, we write a utility, a Java utility, which will create those role and sale fund. Basically, it's totally depend. They can also give you document, and in the document they can also put a table, right? They can also give you data in a comma separate value. It's totally depend like what system they are using. They may have some system which can also generate data in Excel, or let's say, the CSV file has some kind of utility already there, right? So might be. They can also give you that data. So there is no standard. That's why I still point, not give you any kind of utility. Like okay. Let's say, for example, if they provide you data in some specific format, then SailPoint can also provide you utility, right? Like many people use it. So SailPoint can also copy the same code and can provide you by the name. Right, but there is no standard process. Basically, the data can be provided to any form. It could be a CSV, it could be your Excel or any other format.